CSA Fans React back with another video. I hope you're all well. Me and Michael Bowers, we're going to discuss obviously the fixtures, the Jobe departure, obviously our latent signs. We're just going to talk about all things Sunderland.
Are you missing the footy yet?
I enjoy this little break from the end of the season to the thing, you know, like this like 10, is it about 10 weeks?
Roughly, yeah. 2.5 months.
I enjoy that little break. It's just to recharge the batteries again. Yeah.
Last time we did one of these videos, the playoffs, I felt like aged me 2 decades just through those 3 games. Like, there was people online going like, oh, I want to go back and relive all of it. I'm like, no offense, but screw you, because like the stress levels were so. I mean, they're memorable in the end, but if you rewind back to how you felt during the games, like, I think.
Please hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. It's absolutely free, doesn't cost a penny to subscribe, so please subscribe. Fixtures come out, which was a while ago now, but we'll go through the fixtures and obviously we'll talk about the
standout games.
Yeah, the standout games. But I think the first 5 games, Michael, not disrespectful, not being disrespectful to the teams we're playing, but would you have taken that the first 5 games on paper?
West Ham at home, followed by a trip to Turf Moor, Brentford to visit the Stadium of Light before the September international break, basically. Then you've got Crystal Palace away. Villa at home after that, which I think is actually is quite tricky, to be fair. Unai Emery's built a really good side there. The first few games are about as decent as we probably could have hoped for, really. I mean, for me personally, the standout game of the first few is Burnley away. Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Because that's one of the teams we need to finish above to have a shot of staying up. I mean, really, we need to finish above both Leeds and Burnley, and then hope that one of the 17 teams above them has got very bored of being in the Premier League and fancies a stint in the EFL. You know, and obviously our signings need to be absolutely excellent, which we'll talk about later on. But no, to be fair, I mean, I'm looking forward to the West Ham game on the 16th of August. I'm surprised it's not selected for TV, Mike.
I was going to say, could that still get changed? Because they announced the fixture, I think, Liverpool and Bournemouth on the Friday. There was the TNT Sports have been. So that our game will definitely be on the Saturday.
The first weekend has already been picked, so our game's Saturday 3 o'clock. So
it's definitely
which I was quite surprised by, because us returning to the Premier League after 8 years away should be a massive story. It's going to be bouncing in that ground, you know, especially after the especially after the euphoria of the way we got promoted. It's you know, and it's obviously the league. This is the league that Sunderland, whether we stay in it longer than a year, I don't know. But this is the league Sunderland belong in. This is where we want to be. This is where we wanted to be for so long. It's a new challenge. I mean, it's going to be tough, but the way the club and players should look at it is, bring it on.
It's been a vicious cycle of the Championship sides getting promoted and then coming straight back down. But like you say, early signs of which we'll come to in a bit. I think they're starting to trying to get the players in early. They're looking at promising young players from abroad, which looks very well. But I'm just going to go back to the game on the 16th. I'll go back to work that week, and I'm hoping that we're not in on the Saturday. But even if we are, I'm still coming to the game. I say I'm going to make as much effort as I can this season. You know, they're going to need every supporter at the next season to get behind them. And I mean, the season card sale is selling out. Michael, as well, as another thing. What do you think of that? It's 40,000. It's never been done that, as it was sold, literally completely sold out.
The thing that I find quite interesting is those people who had the time and money to go to games in the Championship but didn't, and now got a season card in the Premier League. That's one thing that's a little bit like.
Do you not agree with that? It's sort of like.
Well, no, I mean,
Glory supporters. We're
definitely not Glory supporters. It won't be this season. I mean, I understood it in League One, to be fair, when a lot of people like thinking, well, no, come on, this is crap. I think in the Championship, especially how with last season, you know, there really for me wasn't an excuse last season to not sell out games. But to be fair to Sunderland fans, though, what I will say is when it comes to the big occasions, we do sell out. As far as the season tickets go, I mean, that doesn't surprise me, and I think you are right. Every ounce of every supporter in there is going to be needed. People have got to be aware of how much of a scrap next season is going to be.
It's a huge task. It's like I said to the lads at work, and the other friend said, like, if somebody was to say to me, like right now, you could finish 4th from bottom, you take it, wouldn't you?
Easily.
You would take it because it's there, and it's another financial gain for your club, and you can build on that, can't you?
Exactly. The Premier League has changed so much from when we were last in it to now, and financially, we've probably picked the worst time to go, do you know what, let's have 8 years out the top flight.
We've got a lot of space there to work with, and if we do it right, to get everything right, we're not going to get everything right, you know, that's impossible, but if you get most things right, you give yourselves a huge chance, Michael.
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you get at least the big signings right, which we do tend to do, then you've got to hand it to the recruitment team. And financially, I am so happy that Sunderland got promoted when they did, because as I've said, worst case scenario now, the club's secured financially for the next 3 seasons. Because say if you went up, say if you came straight back down,
you've got that advantage next season,
exactly, and you don't go up the first season in the Championship, you get 2 years of parachute payments if you're in the Prem for even 1 year. So for the next 3 seasons, at the very, very worst case scenario, we should be secured and massively secured financially. But obviously we hope to be for a lot longer than that, because we want to stay in the Premier League. But we've earned the chance to try to do that. So
obviously going back to the fixtures, Michael, obviously the main one every Sunderland fan was looking for was obviously the Newcastle United fixture, which was announced for the first game at the same night was December the 13th, but that'll subject getting changed to Sky, you'd imagine, to the Sunday out. For the Sunday, I would imagine. Then the next, the return match at St James's Park is March the 21st.
Obviously, as of right now, it's Saturday the 13th at Stadium of Light, and then March the 21st at St James's Park. But obviously, either they'll get moved to an early kick-off on the Saturday, or they'll get it'll be an early kick-off one way or another.
I think the North from
To be fair, and this is the same. To be fair to them, as much as I obviously hate Newcastle, like. Their fans will be the same. That's the first game they'll have looked out for. They'll have looked out for when they're playing Sunderland. So it's either way, like that's the one that people look for. That's the game that it gets people excited and everything. And I'm looking forward again, at least at the start of the game, to see the atmosphere at the stadium like when we're playing Newcastle, and hopefully this time we have a much better team than we did when we played them in the cup.
We will, because you remember last time we played them in the FA Cup. Even me and you were saying, I said we're going to get beat well comfortably. And it ended up being that way, didn't it, to be fair?
And Sunderland, if you can, don't paint the Black Cats bar black and white this time, please.
Festive period, we've got...
December's rough, we've got,
Liverpool,
Man City, the Scum, Brighton, Leeds, Man City. So, the game there, the game in December that kind of sticks out to me is the one we have to win is Leeds. Leeds is and even Leeds isn't going to be. Game's going to be easy.
That's on the 27th. That could get changed to Boxing Day possibly.
It's a big fixture, to be fair. I don't know if any Prem games are going to be on Boxing Day. It might get moved to the 28th, on the Sunday. And in which case, if that does, then Man City at home will get moved.
See, it'll be an unbelievable atmosphere. I think it'll be different than one to the FA Cup as well. They'll not have as many fans. I think they had how many fans did they have last time?
9,000 or something, wasn't it?
9,000.
Yeah, so the most you're going to get here is 3,000-4,000. The very most. Yeah,
they'll get 2,500.
Yeah,
max.
probably.
That's all they're getting. Yeah, that's
which as it should be.
I wouldn't say they made loads of noise that day. To be fair, would you?
No, I don't think that. That's.
And the police are going to say that because we're got big, but
there was a Newcastle fan that I speak to quite regularly, and even he was there that day, and he said the atmosphere was quite flat in the away end. Yeah. Although this year is obviously going to be a big battle, you're talking the ones that I think are essential to winning if we want to have a chance to stay up. Obviously, the games against the fellow promoted sides, against Leeds and Burnley.
I was just asking Mike what teams could possibly would get drawn into a relegation battle, because you'd imagine Leeds and Burnley are going to be down there. So who else do you think we could sort of think, well, who could be drawn into it and we could finish above them?
Newcastle United, hopefully? No. Obviously, being serious, it's going to be like Brentford, your West Hams, your Wolves to a degree.
Wolves
to a degree. I think, there's another one.
Bournemouth, no.
Bournemouth, they've lost quite a few players. There's someone they'll mind.
Yeah.
Everton possibly under Moyes, but then again with Moyes, I think they could be down there. But I think Moyes will do enough to make sure that they don't.
I have a feeling they're going to do well, Michael.
Do you think so?
I think so.
Fair enough.
See, the thing is,
I like Everton, but I hate Moyes. I really don't like Moyes at all. I think for me personally, Burnley, will get bottom because I think they've lost. Brownhill didn't stay.
Yeah.
Egan Riley left for free.
Yeah.
And of course, the big one is James Trafford could be leaving to go to Newcastle. Yeah.
So, Michael, the fixtures, the final few fixtures, the last, obviously the April and May. Let's sort of focus on that. Do you think if we're desperate for points, is any sort of ones where you think?
Let's have a look. Spurs at home, Villa away, Forest at home in April, and then in May you've got Wolves away, which already feels like a big. That could be huge.
Yeah. Man United at home.
So that could be huge as well if they're rubbish this year. But Everton away, and then final home game against Chelsea. So
it's not looking at them fixtures like there. Just briefly, there's not an easy game, is there? There's not, is there?
The Prem's a tough league.
It's really hard, I can see me and you kicking off next season some of the games outside the ground. I really can't.
If you're asking me, you need to beat Burnley and Leeds twice. That needs to be 12 points there. And then you're looking after that, you're talking another 30 points you need to aim for. Palace, Forest, maybe get something from them at home. You know, you're talking then Wolves at home, Brentford at home, West Ham at home. I mean, they're already, first 3 games, West Ham at home, Burnley away, Brentford at home. Already it feels like there's a chance there to try and
pick some points up.
Absolutely. How many of the starting 11 in the playoff final will start against West Ham? That's the tricky bit, because the problem you've got there is you have to assess and be ruthless and think, who's gonna? Because let's be honest, we're going up a few levels in the Premier League here.
Just quickly, I'll go for right. Tree Hume, I think he'll start, even though we're being linked with some right batsmen as well. I'm just gonna go there. I think
for now you think he'll start.
I think Ballard might, but then he'll have a centre half next to him. Yeah.
You think so.
Left back is going to be the new signing from I imagine him Mandava. Obviously Diarra, which will come to, so we'll come to that in a bit. I think he'll start, but you've got Jobe's left foot. We're going to talk about that as well.
We'll talk about that after this.
Daniel, I think Daniel will start. I think he will start. He'll have 2 players next to him. Okay. I think he'll have 2 new players next to him, or one, depends what system.
Lafayette?
I think Lafayette on the left. You see on the left, yeah?
I'd say in the 10 personally.
Number 10, you think he'd just be on the striker? I think he could. Well, I think he will start. I think, you know, he's shown.
I could be wrong, but
he's shown he's got massive potential, and he's obviously worked with Regis Labrise and you know, prior to this. And I think that's it, Michael. I think Miranda, Isidore, Rig, all these players. Sorry, like they're not going to.
Okay.
You know
no,
what I mean?
that's fine.
Remember, this is why the recruitment is being so active, and they want to bring us a lot of players in.
Well, the thing is, it seems very harsh, but we can't be sentimental.
No, you can't. You've got to be ruthless.
It sounds horrible, but if we're wanting to stay up, we're going to have to be really. Oh no, exactly, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, just because these guys might not start doesn't mean they can't contribute anything off the bench.
Oh yeah, exactly.
They could very well, but you know. If I'm being honest, for example, Patrick Roberts is someone that I really like, but I'm not going to lie. If he's starting in the Premier League, I'm worried. I'd say. All right, I've got a good feeling we'll have a new keeper by then.
Yeah, definitely.
So new, Hume, Ballard, new, Reynaldo, the Atletico Madrid left back. I think he'll start.
Yes, yeah.
I'd say Diarra, Neil, Lafay. New. In other words, I'm mentioning Hume, Ballard, Lafay, Neil, and that's it. So already I'm saying you need 7 new
players. Yeah, and then that's not including.
I wouldn't complain too much if Mayenda did start, but also at the same time we have to balance that with not being sentimental. If there's a chance to get someone better, you take it.
I think Mayenda, I think
he's got a part to play.
He's not going to start, but I think Mayenda could come on, and I think
he'll be handy.
I think he's got that sort of. You know, wait and spin around a defender and run at defenders, and I think he might surprise a few.
I think so.
Teams next season, like I mean, one season I score, you know, loads of goals. He might get a couple here and there, but he's not going to be our main striker. I wouldn't think. I think we'll sign a striker in the summer, but I think he could.
If we hadn't had gone up, he probably would have been our main striker next season, or at least joint with Isidore. But I think Mayenda's got a better chance of succeeding more than Isidore has.
Yeah.
And I like Isidore as well. But Jobe Bellingham was obviously left to go to Borussia Dortmund before the Club World Cup started. Scored and assisted for them. Actually, he's got involved in goal contributions. So
1.75 million plus add-ons. I think altogether. I think we had to pay.
It was up to 3 million. It was up to 3 million, I think. But that would have probably been dependent on getting promoted.
Yeah.
So you'd imagine, say, 3 million at most.
Nice. But I think, obviously, I like Jobe. I'm going to be totally honest here. I wasn't sort of.
You weren't sold on him a year ago, mind, to be fair.
Yeah. And
not
I wasn't
as sold.
But I did think he progressed this season, and I think I mean, in the player fan, he was one standard performer. Because I tell you what, on that day, there was a lot of them. I was thick. I didn't
First half, especially
pinpoint plays, but certain was really poor. Daniel couldn't pass the ball. Rig was non-existent. There was a lot of players on that day, and I think Jobe did sort of show up on that day. Good luck with the lads. Yeah, he's been here 2 years. He's played a part in the team getting promoted, getting us back to the promised land, the Premier League. And you know, I wish him nothing but success, and I hope he sort of thrives at Borussia Dortmund. But I'm not quite sure. I don't think he's going to reach the heights of his brother. I'll be honest. But good luck to the lad, and you know, I think a lot of the Sunderland fans will always like him, really.
I am disappointed because I think he would have done well in the Premier League, actually. I think he's got a lot of attributes. His height, his athleticism, his ball carrying ability. I think a lot of that stuff would have translated well to the Premier League. And regardless of how well we would have done or not, what bigger stage is there to show your talent? I know,
that's it.
and don't get me wrong, Dortmund are in the Champions League, obviously, but if you look at it domestically in terms of a league, the Premier League is watched infinitely more than the Bundesliga is across worldwide. So, but obviously, I do kind of at the same time get why his parents might have wanted him out of the media spotlight in England so much. You will get that at Dortmund, mind, considering that obviously it's the same club Jude went to, but at the same time, I can't knock him. Dortmund are massive. Like, Dortmund are a huge club in world football. Huge club, bigger than Sunderland. Huge club in world football.
Yeah.
So for Jobe, it's an absolutely brilliant move.
I'm not sure if he was the one that signed Ross Stewart, but you look at these 4 players: Ross Stewart, Isaac Haji, Jack Clark, and Jobe Bellingham. There's 4 players there, right? Profit, yeah. Ross Stewart, profit. Haji, profit. Jack Clark, big profit. Jobe Bellingham, profit. Profit. Yeah. Look at the bigger picture. Buying players for a certain
This is
amount of
music
price,
to my ears,
and making a huge profit on them. Like you see, you've got Dennis Serkin who signed for next to nothing. Yeah, if I sold him, he's going to go for a cycle fee.
Yeah.
Trey Hume was signed for next to nothing. He could go for, do you know what I mean? All these players, Dan Neal's come through the academy, Patterson come through the academy, Robert you could probably get a few money for. Chris Riggs going to go for a decent fee.
He will. Yeah.
You know, I think the way the club's getting run, even though you sort of might not like when you sell the best players, because you've got to show some ambition, but it's been run in the right way, isn't it now?
Tommy Watson, for example, barely
That's
started.
another one.
Tommy Watson barely started for us and went for 10 million quid and had a year left on his contract by that point.
Sorry, I haven't mentioned that one, Tommy Watson.
Don't get me wrong. Of course, fans obviously don't like it when your best players leave or when you make a big sale. Every single club, unless you're an elite level size club, unless you are extremely well run financially, has to sell, because not even just for financial strength, but like the PSR stuff. This is what I've kept on saying, and you made this point. Remember when we did it was after the Chef Wed game when they beat us to stay up, but afterwards when we were talking about the accounts coming out, and this is why we've said you can't just go and spunk money whenever you want to. You have to watch to some degree what you end up spending. So for example, it was gutting to see Jack Clark go when he left, but at the end of the day, the way that we were ran meant that when Romain Mundle came in, he had 6 months to acclimatise while Clark was here, and then when Clark left, bang, Mundle straight in, and you don't lose too much quality. That's the whole point of the system. Now we're in the Premier League, and now that even if we come back down, we've got parachute money, we should be less reliant on that now because of the money we're going to get. But this is where I kept saying, this is why I've defended KLD, Speakman, Stuart Harvey, who deserves an unsung shout as well. Some of the work he puts in is ridiculous, second to none, really.
Stuart Harvey.
That's a bit massive. I mean, I remember Tom White said on the How We the podcast, which was done by the guys at Rug Report. Great pod, by the way, if you haven't heard it. But he was saying it's kind of like the unsung shout, or the holding midfield version of like sporting director, basically. The unsung heroes like Stuart Harvey, and we don't, but we want to keep him on the down low so clubs don't take him off us. but the work that they've done without Premier League money, without parachute payments in the Championship.
It's absolutely unbelievable.
It's fantastic stuff, because you've got to remember, last year, we thankfully got promoted in the end, we were competing against Leeds, Burnley and Sheffield United, all of whom had considerably bigger resources than we did. We kept the pace with them until probably the back end of February, really.
We started to play with them a little bit.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, of course.
I think the face time was huge, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Of course it was. Like, you got to remember, this is why sometimes selling matters, as horrible as that is to hear as a fan. It's realistic. You've got to get with the sort of the climate of modern football. This is just how it is now. I think our strategy this summer will be the players we spend big bucks on in terms of fees will be brought in from foreign leagues because of how stupidly inflated the English market is. So, I mean, for example, one player I said I thought I could see us scoring for was Ben Doak, who was on loan at Borough last year.
Yeah.
But Liverpool apparently there was talks of 30 million for him. So he's had a half season in the Championship, and now apparently he's worth 30 million. This is what I mean.
So the English market in England
is
really
stupid.
Bad, like.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
I don't blame Mike Speakman and this Gisolfi. Is it Gisolfi?
Gisolfi, yeah.
Gisolfi and obviously KLD, Harvey. They're going abroad because that's why the better value of market for a player is going abroad.
Of course, yeah. I mean, you've obviously with that comes its challenges that you've got to make sure that they're ready to acclimatise to the Premier League, But the point is that Gisolfi, from what it seems to me to be, he seems to have really good contacts there. He seems to have really good reputation abroad as being one of the best sporting directors in France in particular. And funny, actually, because I think Lefebvre put out a comment saying that he felt that League 1 was more physical than the Championship. So this maybe makes sense why we're targeting the French League, because you need athleticism and physicality to survive in the Premier League. So it might be that we're going for those players from that division very well. For example, someone like this striker from Lyon that's been talked about. And obviously Lyon have got relegated due to financial issues. If that's the case, Sunderland should be being all over that. And,
I was thinking a lot of the Lyon players would have been relegated. I thought Sunderland would be sort of all over that one where they would try and
So I think absolutely. So I think Gizolfi. So I think that look, I can't confess to know as much about him. I'm just reading the little bits of what was on the statement, but from the bits I have seen, it looks. And by the way, bear in mind, just something to point out. Apparently Juventus wanted him. I can't remember if one of the Milan clubs wanted him. I might be making that up. Newcastle apparently were after him.
Yeah, I heard that one as well.
Now, so it's funny how if they have gone after him, then he's turned them down to come to us.
Yeah.
Which I think, and funny how Keith Downey didn't mention that he turned Newcastle down, if that's the case. But look, I'll not start showing on that rabbit hole. If they were after him, then there must be something. There has to be something about him if they were wanting him, and that was, I think they were recently wanting him as well. So if he's come here. The phrase that Fabrizio Romano, for example, has used to describe Sunderland this summer has been ambitious project. This must be a part of it. So I'm just going to sit back and see what happens with him. But credit quickly to end the bit before we move on to the transfers that we've signed, or about to sign rather. I think you've got to credit Speakman, Harvey, KLD, and if bringing in Gizolfi is apparently a statement of intent, then you go, all right then, let's see what happens. It looks like they mean business now. This is something I've always felt with the PSR thing. Part of me feels like maybe one of the reasons why we didn't spend as much as fans would like in the Championship is because we're saving our PSR situation for when we're in the Premier League, and then when we need to spend more, we can have a license to go and spend more. Obviously that's a gamble if you don't get promoted, but it's happened. So, right. Next, the first signing we obviously did make, which is one who was already here, but we'll talk about it anyway. I mean, there's not much to say about this one. I mean, like, the fee was obviously, there was a loan deal with an obligation to buy, wasn't it, if we got promoted? So the fee, at that point, was our record transfer. We don't have to say Didier Ndong's our record transfer anymore. Look, the fee for me, to some degree, kind of flattered to deceive a little bit before the playoff games. But to be fair to him, delivered in the playoffs. He was involved in nearly every single goal, apart from Watson's winner, that we scored. So I think 20 minutes.
Assist for Isidore, the corner for Ballard.
Obviously, he pressed Van Elwick for Mayenda's goal at Coventry, and then obviously was involved in the build-up to Mayenda's goal at Wembley. So,
his signing was
it's pivotal.
Pretty big, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very pivotal actually. So I think the Faye really, I mean, it's the assist for Isidore in the first leg of Coventry is an example of the quality. Even in the regular season, though, the touch he showed to skin Ealing right before the winner at Middlesbrough, when Ryan Giles decided to give us 3 points, which was quite funny. But with Lefay, pretty happy with that.
Next one, Michael, which was the.
Habib Diarra,
Habib Diarra, wasn't it?
These
record signing.
Current record signing. Who knows? Maybe we might break it again.
Beating off Leeds United and a couple of other teams for his services as well. Which was,
Habib Diarra. Well, obviously this is the one that apparently is really highly rated. So I think Habib Diarra has basically joined from Strasbourg, where Liam Rossignol manages, funnily enough, and I think it's Chelsea's sister club thing, whatever it is. Anyway, Habib Diarra has joined for, I think it's 30 million quid totaling. I think it's 27 million pound up front with 3 million add-ons. So it totals to 30.
Yeah, looks like he's got everything.
You're talking athleticism, technical ability, power, pace. Yeah,
and like it's exciting, but obviously the Premier League. I think he's playing in France. Now he's going to be playing in the Premier League. So he adapts straight away. And
that's the hope, isn't it? So Reynaldo. So this is the guy from Atletico Madrid who's left on a free. Apparently he's rapid. Apparently he's obviously got elite level experience, which is something I think we need if we're going to have a chance. Apparently the contract we're giving him is a 2-year deal worth 65 grand a week. Apparently.
Really?
So I'm thinking again, if we're giving him that much, he better be half decent at Premier League level.
I've never really seen any sort of videos on this side of Diarra. I watched the full 5-6 minutes videos on him, and I was like, wow.
I'd say pretty solid option if we're ever for a free agent. And obviously, look, we might be spending a bit on wages. We're not going to spend transfer fees on players over a certain age, but if you're talking likes of Reynaldo, and then even on a free, you're talking Kyle Walker-Peters, for example. Say Danny Welbeck, for instance, Jordan Henderson if he came back. These players with this sort of experience, whether it's not necessarily Premier League experience, but top flight experience of some description. So Reynaldo will have La Liga top flight experience, Champions League experience. This is something
Mandava, the left back,
the Atletico Madrid one. That's all. So yeah, I'm keen to see how he performs. He hopefully shouldn't have too long to integrate into English football. Obviously Sadiki, then there was another one. So apparently that was the one that Leeds fans wanted after we got Diarra, and now they're conveniently saying that Sadiki's not very good. So so there's Lafay, Diarra, Reynaldo, and Sadiki. The last two haven't been officially announced at the time of speaking, but by the time you're watching this, it looks like they could be announced. Apparently they're all but done. So when it comes to these signings, the thing I've noticed on every single one of them, when Fabrizio Romano's tweeted in particular, is from fans of other clubs going, Sunderland are going for it here, and that's the type of reaction I want to see. What does this strategy say to you about this? To me, says that no team goes into it to do this, obviously, but it feels to me like Sunderland, especially if we get the targets we're linked with, are not content with just making up the numbers and being here. It seems to me like our hierarchy are KLD, Gizolfi, Speakman, Harvey, or whoever else it is. This suggests to me we want to make a go of it, a proper go at trying to stay up, and the aim apparently. I don't know what you think, but to me it feels like the aim now is to re-establish ourselves at Premier League level.
Definitely,
I don't know what you think about that. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that's what
I totally agree. I think because we've run the club being run very well the last few years, it's give us, as I said earlier on, it's give us that leeway with the wages. You've got plenty of room with the wages next. You can, the wages can rise a considerable amount. We've got a lot of money to spend. We've sold players, Tommy Watson, Jobe. We've got that money to use. We might sell a couple more, but probably as well sell a few of the Finnish players. So that money will get put in where we can spend. So I think we will spend a lot of money this summer, and I think there's still the wage bill will be nowhere near as high as what some of the Premier League teams are as well. I think we'll be right down the bottom in the wage aspects, which again is very good because the club's being run very well.
Rolling period, but to me, to start to round it up, I think it seems to me that we want to have a proper go at trying to stay up, and we're not naive. We shouldn't be naive to the fact we know that there's a chance we go down, but at least have an insurance plan in place if we do go down, but we want to try to stay up. Because if I've got a feeling Sunderland's recruitment model is going to target higher calibre players than Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton did last season. And that's what makes me think we might have a better chance than people think if we land our desired targets. So I don't know what you think, but if we're really willing to have a proper go at staying up, then I'm thinking, and this is why we said last time, it's so important if we can to finish fourth bottom this season. I'll make a statement now. If we stay up this coming season, I could see us really spiralling up the Premier League. Not to the point where we're Champions League or competing for anything, obviously, but I mean, like...
That would be nice.
I would take that, absolutely.
I'm in Milan.
Jordan Henderson, remember? So I've seen him in Milan. But if we stay up in the Premier League, I can genuinely see Sunderland progressing really well over the next few years.
I agree.
But the challenge is staying up.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Me and Mike Abels will be back in the next. Hopefully, we'll try and get a video, regularly. We'll try and obviously when we get back to the games, we'll be outside the ground. We'll be doing. I mean, the aftermath of that thing's going to really be really good in the Premier League. I think
the views will go through the roof.
There's going to be a lot of people who's going to really want to watch that, mate.
See if you can put any questions below. Maybe we could do a Q&A style thing.
Or we could do a live if people will be happy with us doing a live. Me and Mike together in here or wherever. We could do a live. If people will be happy with that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if we can't do a live, maybe put questions in the comments to see what you want us to do, or me and Sean could put it out on socials or whatever else, and maybe I could gather questions that people want us to answer and stuff like that. But if you've made it to the end of this, especially for me trying to explain PSR, honestly, guys, thanks to everyone who's been watching, and I agree with you. I think the views will surge for a lot of people in the Premier League. So, let's hope for a good season. Let's hope we manage to stay up.
Take care, and we'll be back in the next, hopefully, week or so, a couple of weeks at maximum, and hopefully.
Really, when Sean says 1 or 2 weeks, he means 4 or 5. We'll see.
Thanks for your time. Take care.
Thanks very much, everyone.